All right, you feds want to talk about my business in D.C.? It's bigger than you think.
Is that D.C. doesn't stand for District of Columbia, but for Dodge City.
All of us are appalled. We're agonizing about it. We don't like the fact that we had 372 murders last year.
It's as if the White House and the Capitol were positioned on the streets of the Old West. These dots are where the fatal gunfights took place in the last year, most of them related to the sale of drugs. Unlike Dodge City, many of them involved only a single gun in the hands of an assassin, often a drug merchant trying to claim territory.
By the summer of 1988, Washington, D.C. had become a city living two completely different lives. Tourists continued arriving every day to admire the White House, visit the Lincoln Memorial, and walk through the halls of the Smithsonian. Politicians debated national issues beneath the bright lights of Capitol Hill, while television cameras broadcast images of power and stability across the world. Yet only a few miles away, another Washington existed. It was a Washington most Americans never saw. In neighborhoods east of the Anacostia River and throughout large sections of northeast and southeast D.C., a different reality was unfolding. Abandoned buildings stood beside overcrowded apartment complexes. Unemployment remained high. Schools struggled. Families worked tirelessly to survive. And in the middle of this environment, a new underground economy was creating fortunes at a speed that seemed almost unbelievable. Luxury cars began appearing where poverty had once dominated. Young men barely old enough to drink suddenly possessed wealth that rivaled successful businessmen. The city was changing before everyone's eyes, and standing at the center of that transformation was a young man named Rayful Edmond. To understand how Rayful Edmond became one of the most influential figures in Washington, D.C. history, it is important to understand that he did not emerge from nowhere. He came from a city already wrestling with deep economic and social challenges. The opportunities available to many young black men in Washington during the late 1970s and early 1980s were limited. Entire neighborhoods felt disconnected from the prosperity that existed in other parts of the city. Young people looked around and saw few examples of legitimate wealth. They saw people from their own streets driving luxury cars, wearing expensive jewelry, and living lifestyles that seemed unimaginable only a few years earlier. To many teenagers, these figures became symbols of success. They represented a path out of poverty, even if that path came with enormous risks. Rayful Edmond possessed qualities that separated him from many others around him. People who knew him often described him as intelligent, calm, and highly organized. While many individuals could make money in the underground economy, very few possessed the ability to build systems. Edmond understood systems. He understood logistics. He understood how to move people, products, and money efficiently. Most importantly, he understood how to create loyalty. By the mid-1980s, his operation had grown into something that federal investigators would later describe as one of the largest and most sophisticated organizations the city had ever seen. Workers operated throughout Washington. Distributors moved product across neighborhoods. Money flowed continuously. Entire networks functioned beneath the surface of daily life, hidden in plain sight from many residents who only saw the visible signs of wealth and influence. As Edmond's power expanded, Washington itself began transforming. The city entered one of the darkest chapters in its history. Violence increased dramatically. Murders climbed year after year. Entire neighborhoods became defined by fear. Parents worried every time their children left home. Teachers watched students disappear into the streets. Community leaders pleaded for intervention. The nation's capital was slowly becoming known for something far different than politics or government. By the late 1980s, Washington, D.C. had earned a reputation as one of the most violent cities in America. Newspapers across the country reported on the crisis. Television crews arrived to document the bloodshed. Politicians promised action. Yet, despite the growing attention, the violence continued. For many residents, Rayful Edmond became both a symbol of power and a symbol of destruction. To some young people, he represented success in a city that seemed to offer few legitimate opportunities. Stories circulated about his wealth, stories circulated about his generosity, stories circulated about his influence. Like many powerful figures, his reputation quickly became larger than reality. Rumors spread through neighborhoods faster than facts. Some claimed he possessed unlimited money. Others claimed he controlled entire sections of the city. Whether the stories were true almost ceased to matter. What mattered was that people believed them. Rayful Edmond was no longer simply a man. He had become a legend. At the same time, federal authorities were beginning to understand the scale of what they were facing. Investigators from multiple agencies started piecing together intelligence that painted an alarming picture. Surveillance operations expanded, informants were recruited, telephone records were analyzed, financial transactions were examined. Slowly but surely, the government began building one of the largest criminal investigations in Washington, D.C. history. The challenge facing investigators was enormous. Edmond's organization was not a small neighborhood operation. It was a complex network involving numerous individuals, multiple locations, and a sophisticated structure designed to protect itself from law enforcement scrutiny. Every time investigators believed they had identified one part of the operation, another layer seemed to emerge.
Got approximately a 33-year-old black male. He's been shot 3 times, that's shot 3 times.
As federal pressure intensified, violence throughout the city continued to escalate. Washington's homicide rate reached levels that shocked even experienced law enforcement officials. Entire communities lived under constant tension. Residents learned to distinguish between fireworks and gunshots. Children grew up accepting violence as a normal part of life. Funeral services became so common that many families could recall attending multiple funerals within a single month. The human cost of the era was staggering. While some people focused on the wealth being generated, others saw only the devastation left behind. Families lost sons, children lost fathers, communities lost a sense of safety. The scars created during those years would remain long after the headlines disappeared. Eventually, federal investigators reached a conclusion that seemed almost impossible to many people on the streets. They believed they had enough evidence to bring down Rayful Edmond. Years of surveillance, intelligence gathering, and investigative work culminated in a major prosecution that attracted national attention. When Edmond was arrested, the news spread rapidly throughout Washington. For many people, it felt surreal. His reputation had grown so large that some genuinely believed he could never be touched by law enforcement. Yet now, he stood in federal court, facing charges that threatened to keep him behind bars for the rest of his life. The trial became a defining moment in Washington, D.C. history. Prosecutors portrayed Edmond as the central figure in an organization responsible for transforming the city. They argued that his operation had contributed significantly to the violence consuming Washington's neighborhoods. The government wanted more than a conviction. They wanted a symbol. They wanted to demonstrate that even the most powerful figures could be held accountable. When the verdict was delivered and Edmond received a life sentence, many observers believed the story had reached its conclusion. In reality, the most extraordinary chapter was still ahead. Most criminal empires end when their leaders go to prison. Rayful Edmond's story did not. According to federal authorities, Edmond remained connected to criminal activity even after his incarceration. Investigators later uncovered evidence suggesting that influence continued to flow beyond prison walls. Additional prosecutions followed. Additional convictions followed. Every new development reinforced the belief that Rayful Edmond would spend the remainder of his life behind bars. For many residents of Washington, the possibility of his release seemed unimaginable. Then something happened that nobody expected.
All right, you feds want to talk about my business in D.C.? It's bigger than you think.
Over time, Edmond began cooperating with federal authorities. The news spread through Washington like an earthquake. In the culture of the streets, few actions carried greater stigma than becoming an informant. For years, Rayful Edmond had been viewed as one of the most powerful figures in the city's underground world. Now, federal prosecutors were quietly receiving information from the very man they had once pursued so aggressively. The irony was extraordinary. The same knowledge that had helped Edmond build his empire now made him one of the most valuable sources of intelligence available to law enforcement. What followed would fundamentally reshape how many people viewed his legacy. According to prosecutors and court records, Edmond provided information over many years. His cooperation extended far beyond a single case. Federal authorities later credited him with assisting investigations involving trafficking networks, prison operations, violent crimes, and numerous criminal organizations. By some accounts, his assistance contributed to more than 100 convictions. For investigators, the value of his knowledge was immense. Edmond had spent years at the center of major criminal networks. He understood relationships. He understood hierarchies. He understood secrets that few outsiders could access. The reaction on the streets was immediate and deeply divided. Some viewed his cooperation as a betrayal that erased everything he had once represented. Others argued that decades behind bars had changed his perspective. Some believed he was attempting to protect family members. Others believed he was simply trying to secure his own freedom. Whatever his motivations, one fact was undeniable. His cooperation produced results. Cases moved forward. Investigations expanded. Organizations found themselves under increased scrutiny. The same man who had once symbolized power within the underground world was now helping authorities dismantle parts of it. As the years passed, Washington itself underwent a transformation. Neighborhoods that had once been synonymous with violence began changing. New businesses appeared. Development projects expanded. Property values increased. Entire sections of the city became almost unrecognizable compared to the Washington of the 1980s. A new generation grew up, hearing stories about Rayful Edmond as though he were a historical figure rather than a real person. Yet for older residents, the memories remained vivid. They remembered the funerals, they remembered the fear, they remembered the helicopters circling overhead, and the police sirens that seemed never to stop. The debate over Rayful Edmond's legacy continues because his story touches on questions that remain unresolved. Was he the architect of Washington's tragedy, or was he a product of conditions that already existed? Did his eventual cooperation represent redemption or simply survival? Can a person responsible for contributing to immense harm ever truly change? These questions have no easy answers. What is clear is that Rayful Edmond's rise and fall became inseparable from the story of Washington, D.C. itself.
I'm back better than ever.
2024, the city he once dominated had changed dramatically, yet his name still carried weight. Journalists revisited his story. Former investigators reflected on the cases. Residents remembered an era that had left deep scars on entire communities. Decades after his rise to power, Rayful Edmond remained one of the most consequential figures in modern Washington history. His story is ultimately not just about one man. It is about a city struggling with poverty, violence, opportunity, and survival. It is about how power can emerge from neglected communities. It is about how entire generations can be shaped by forces larger than themselves. And it is about the complicated reality that some of history's most influential figures leave behind legacies that are impossible to define in simple terms. Long after the money disappeared, long after the court cases ended, and long after the headlines faded, the story of Rayful Edmond continued to echo through Washington, D.C., serving as a reminder of one of the most turbulent chapters the nation's capital has ever known.
After he went to prison, he sold even more. Right here, behind the concrete walls, steel bars, and locked doors of this maximum security federal penitentiary in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Following his conviction as a drug kingpin, Edmond was sentenced to 2 life terms without the possibility of parole. But within just days of his arrival, he was back in business. He was dealing drugs right from his prison cell.
Just about everybody inside the jail in some way, shape, form, or fashion is dealing in drugs, either directly or indirectly.
He was caught and 2 years ago struck a deal with the feds. Ever since, he's been telling them exactly how he pulled it off. Tell me what drugs you dealt with in prison. Cocaine?
Cocaine.
Crack?
Crack.
Heroin?
Heroin.
What else?
Marijuana. Those were the basic 4, cocaine, crack, and heroin, and marijuana.
There's nothing left. I mean, you did the gamut.
Yeah, I did it all.
He did it all and then some. For starters, he brought drugs into the prison through this visiting room. He hired other inmates whose girlfriends, during contact visits, would pass the stuff packed in small balloons.
She might kiss him, and he put them in his mouth. He drank a little bit of soda or water, swallow them. She go do it again. Good
He's
day.
got them all inside.
Got them all inside. Then when he get back inside the institution, he spit them up.
What's the most you ever heard of those that any one person?
That I ever seen one person bring? I seen somebody bring in like 60 of them.
Edmond says prison officials know this goes on.
It keeps the jail mellow. It keeps people patient. You know, they be able to get high and chill. So they like this and let these things happen sometimes.
Come on.
Yeah, that's what they do.
He wasn't just selling drugs to other prisoners. He also masterminded the shipment of more than 2 tons of cocaine and crack from the coca fields of Colombia to the District of Columbia.
In some ways, he's like the Babe Ruth of crack dealers.
Eric Holder, the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, was, until recently, the top prosecutor in Washington, D.C. It was his office that locked Edmond up in the first place. Tell us the magnitude of his operation from inside the prison.
If you look at it on a monthly basis, he was exceeding that which he did when he was running what, to that time, had been the largest drug operation in Washington, D.C. history.
He was doing more from in prison? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, at its maximum, he was doing about 400 kilograms of cocaine per month while in prison, and while on the street, he was doing about 300 at its maximum.
Edmond says it was easy to do from behind bars.
I think it's much easier than when you're on the street.
Easier than on the street?
Much easier because you're right there with the people that have direct access to the narcotics that you need. Colombians, Cubans, Mexicans.
All thrown in together?
All thrown in together.
Thrown in with criminals like Osvaldo Trujillo Blanco, or as Edmond knew him, Chicky, a convicted drug felon.
He had a high-profile case. I had a high-profile case. So, you know, we were just wanting somebody to introduce us. We was waiting for a person to come along and say, this Chicky, this Ray. And we just gonna go from there. It was right there. What else? You know, what else could we do? It's right there.
Chicky is cocaine royalty, son of Griselda Trujillo Blanco, better known as the godmother of the Colombian drug underworld, and a founding member of the notorious Medellin drug cartel. Does it make any sense to put the biggest guy from D.C. and someone from one of the largest cartels in Colombia in such close proximity? You'd know it would be inevitable that they'd come together.
No, I'm not sure that's true. I wouldn't make that assumption. I would think that both people, having been put in federal prison, would have been incapacitated.
But they weren't. A year after Edmond met him, Chicky was released and returned to his horse ranch in Colombia. And that's when business really took off. So how did you pull it off? I mean, you were doing pretty serious and impressive deals.
Oh, yeah.
From inside, I love maximum security penitentiary.
Maximum security.
Specifically, how did you do it?
Specifically, we would use the visiting room, the telephones.
Specifically, these telephones, conveniently located just down the hall from his cell. Edmond would contact Chicky simply by placing a collect call to a friend in Washington. Every one of those calls was recorded.
Hello, this is the AT&T operator with a collect call. Who's calling, please?
Right.
Will you accept the charge? Uh-huh.
The friend, in turn, connected him to Chicky all the way down in Medellin.
What reason would I be calling out the country? I'm not from Colombia or South America. Or
Here's an inmate that's calling Medellin 3 and 4 times
a week. So you know I'm up to something. Just common sense would tell you. If you got good common sense, it would tell you that I'm up to no good.
In one afternoon, he made 59 phone calls to 5 states and 2 foreign countries.
I thought that we listened in on their phone conversations. I thought that when a guy makes a phone call, that the prison kind of knows what he's talking about.
All the phone conversations, all the social phone conversations are recorded, but not all of them are monitored.
Now, does that make any sense?
Well, it doesn't make any sense except for the fact that they don't have the ability. There's simply not enough people to listen in on all of the phone conversations that all of these prisoners have.
And the prisoners know that. They count on it.
Oh, I'm sure that's true.
But Edmond says he and Chicky weren't taking any chances. They spoke in code.
Remember, he used to live in 18th Street. Yeah. That he was going to move to downtown to 16th Street. Yeah.
When he made that statement to me, he was letting me know that the price went down 3,000. It went from 19th Street to 16th Street. So I automatically knew what he was talking about.
Edmond used an entirely different code when he spoke to his distributors back in Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, he used Pig Latin.
You want to hear a little bit?
Yeah, I want to hear what you say.
Attica, Whittaker, Setica, Zetica, Judica, Tu, Dudica, Datica, Fortica, Medica.
What did you say?
Oh, I was just saying, I feel good today.
So fast. You could do that.
You got to be fast so nobody will understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you could just do this whole interview like that?
Yeah, I could do the whole interview like that.
Now, but what kind of money were you making out of this?
I wasn't making the money that I should be making, but, you know, I was getting 5,000 here, 10,000 there, which is good money for somebody that's in jail and doing time.
It was good money for anyone. $200,000 in 2 years collected for him by associates on the outside. But the money flow was disrupted when Chicky was gunned down in a Medellin nightclub, but only temporarily, because Edmond quickly struck up with another inmate, this time from the Cali cartel. Freddie Aguilera was serving 60 years with no parole, just a cell block away.
And you hook up with another Colombian.
Yeah. Like I told you, the temptation, you know, you got people every day, different people coming to me trying to hook up drug deals, and this is something that I can do and I know how to do. So it was just hard to say, no, I don't want to be involved in it, when I can just say, okay, let me set this deal up and give me a quick $20,000 or $30,000.
Prison authorities never did figure out what Edmond was up to, but the FBI and local police here in Washington, D.C. did, thanks to a tip from a jailhouse informant. When the feds went to Edmond with the evidence, much to their surprise, he agreed to cooperate. With his help, the government was able to lock up 15 drug dealers, among them some of the most violent drug thugs in the nation's capital.
Why did you decide to cooperate?
Because I wanted to put it all behind me. I wanted to help my family, first of all. That was the first thing that gave me the motivation. My mom, my aunt, and my 3 sisters.
His mom, his sisters, brothers-in-law, and others were all in the family business with Edmond and are all serving time. His mother and sisters are together at the Alderson prison camp in West Virginia. The feds told Edmond they would not recommend a sentence reduction for him, but they agreed to go to bat for his 56-year-old mother, who was sentenced to 24 years in prison for her role in Rayful's drug enterprise.
That's my mom. And, you know, I love her, so, you know, when I miss her, you know, I hope she'd be okay.
I feel very honored. I mean, he has life or 2 life sentences, and he didn't think about himself. He thought about his mother.
Constance Bootsy Perry is the unlikely matriarch of Washington's most prominent crime family. Before she got locked up, she had a $40,000 a year job in the federal government.
So you got your kids educated, you made sure they went to church, you had a good job, your ex-husband had a good job?
Yeah, he had a job. He worked for the government, too.
He worked for the government. You were middle-class people.
Yes.
He was not raised in the inner city. He lived in the suburbs. Safe place.
Yes.
How many of your children are in jail?
6.
You had 7 kids and 6 are in jail. You're in jail?
Yes.
Come on. What happened?
I can't really say, and I think basically I'm in here only because I knew what was going on.
She was a mom to me, but also she was a personal friend to me. So when things, you know, with selling drugs, like I told you before, so many things go wrong. People get killed, people lose their jobs, people get strung out, and whenever things go wrong or things don't go right in my life, she was my friend. I go talk to her and tell her about all these things, about what's going on with me, and she knew about all that. And she ended up telling all the things that I told her to an informant on a wiretap, and that made her be part of the conspiracy.
Well, it was more than that. Bootsy admits she once counted her son's drug money, and she accepted a car, a house, and other gifts purchased with his drug proceeds.
My mother always wanted a nice big house, you know, so I wanted to be able to buy that for her one day. She always wanted a Mercedes. I wanted to be able to buy that for her.
When Edmond was a child, both his parents sold drugs. The father, allegedly heroin. Bootsy says she sold diet pills and admits she sometimes had Rayful handle the money. But she blames his friends for getting him into the drug trade.
He saw the fast money, or he saw them driving big cars, and he said, hey, man, how did you do this? How did you get this? You know?
The money.
Yeah, the money. Or greed. Just say greed. I'd say greed.
This is your watch.
Yeah, it used to be my watch.
Used to be your watch. The government now has his watch.
Yeah, the government owns it now.
How much did this watch cost?
Oh, close to $100,000.
Was this typical of what you would buy when you were...
Typical things that I would buy when I was home.
Well, you were fancy.
Yeah, I was real jazzy. Yeah, I like, you know, try to have a lot of class.
Did you wear a lot of diamonds on your
No, I wasn't. I just had 1 carat. I just had a 10-carat diamond ring, a 3-carat for my ear, and just a diamond chain that matched the watch.
Very simple.
Yeah, just, you know, simple, but stand out.
Today, he's trying not to stand out. So the feds have put him in a little-known witness protection program for convicts. He lives under an alias in a different prison where it's hoped those he betrayed won't find him. But if he's hiding out, why is he talking to us? He says he wants the kids in Washington, D.C., who see him as a hero, to know that what he did was wrong.
A lot of my friends from my neighborhood lost their lives because I brought drugs in the community. You know, the
Crack
people
babies?
dying.
Crack babies?
Some babies probably was born from crack because of me. Yeah, I feel bad about it now, but back then, you know, I was just thinking about the power.
We tried to ask the Bureau of Prisons what they're doing to prevent prison drug dealing, but they refused to comment. So we asked their new boss, Eric Holder, who has not yet had a role in making prison policy.
As a result of the Rayful incident, a task force was created to really look at the whole system and decide what we could be doing.
It's been 2 years since you first found out about this. Not you, I mean the Bureau of Prisons, the government, the Justice Department. It's been 2 years, and from what I'm hearing, the problem really has not been fixed yet.
I think that's right.
You're saying that it's remotely possible that as we're sitting here, somebody in some prison's making a phone call and setting up a drug deal somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's remotely possible, but I think we're also going to be in a position real soon to say it's not possible.
Do you think that's going on today, right now?
I'm quite sure it is, yeah. People are sitting in prison making drug deals, yeah. They, you know, you're sitting there, you have nothing to do. And everybody needs money, and they love money, so I'm quite sure that it's going on right now.
In fact, the Bureau of Prisons may have made it even easier. When the FBI began its investigation of Rayful Edmond, there were 3 phones on his cell block, and inmates could use them every other day. Today, there are 4 phones, and prisoners can use them every day.